Hey, this is Tom from MVP Chess. Welcome back to my series on Bobby Fischer's seminal work, My 60 Memorable Games. In this video, we'll be analyzing game number 44 that Fischer played versus Reuben Fine in New York 1963. Fischer plays the Evans Gambit. You're not going to want to miss it. Before we jump in, don't forget to smash that subscribe button and join Team MVP. Thank you so much for your support. So Reuben Fine was one of the greatest players in history. His best result came in the famous 1938 Avro tournament in the Netherlands when he finished tied for her first ahead of world champions Capablanca, Alekhine, Urwa, and Botvinnik. Wow, what an incredible result. He decided to hang it up, though, at the height of his powers in 1945 to become a psychoanalyst. So who knows how good he could have become. This game that we're about to analyze was one of a series of Blitz games that Fischer played at Fine's home in New York. So this is one of the few games in my 60 memorable games that was not played under strict tournament conditions. But it's still a very instructive game. I show this game to many of my students. E4, E5, Fischer plays E4 best by test, of course. And instead of going in for the Spanish, Fischer plays bishop c4. We have bishop c5. This is a nice way to play against the Italian. It's how I like to play with black, because if you play the two knights, you do have to contend with those knight g5 lines. Fischer combats this line with pawn to b4, and this is the start of the Evans Gambit. So why is white giving up a pawn here on b4? Well, after the capture, you can see that white's idea is to lure this bishop to b4, so that the move c3, which supports the central expansion d4, comes with gain of tempo. So white is sacrificing a pawn to control the center and to rapidly develop. So a very logical, sound gambit. c3, bishop a5, maintaining some pressure on the king. d4, e takes, and Fischer castles. So notice Fischer's king is already safe. He's got good control over the center. Black is best advised to continue developing in this position, but it's a blitz game. Fine went all in and went pawn grabbing and grabbed on c3, but this allows Fischer to develop an insane initiative. So he starts by playing queen b3, development with tempo, attacking the pawn on f7. Fine plays queen e7, knight takes c3, threatening knight d5. So more rapid development from Fischer. We have knight f6, and black is about to consolidate here. It's getting pretty close. So Fischer wants to start opening lines. He wants to keep Fine's king in the center of the board. So he does that by playing knight d5. Great move. Okay, and after we have this exchange, notice that Fischer takes with the pawn, okay, to gain time on the knight and also to open the e-file. It would be a huge mistake here to take with the bishop, because this would let Fine off the hook. Black would be better in this position. Black's a little bit behind in development, but he is up 2 pawns and is not facing a completely massive attack. So that's why Fischer took with the pawn. The knight is forced to move. Again, Fischer wants to keep developing with gain of time. So he captures this knight to lure the queen to e5 so that he can play bishop b2. Wow. So Fischer is completely developed. His rooks are connected. His king is safe as houses. Meanwhile, black is up 2 pawns, but black is severely lagging behind in development, and most importantly, this king is still stuck in the center of the board. So queen g5. How is Fischer going to continue his initiative? He comes up with an ingenious idea here. Pawn to h4. Okay, his idea is to grab this pawn on g7. Okay, because if he can do that, that will prevent the king from castling to the king side, keep the king in the center where Fischer can attack it with his superior development. Fine grabs here. We have bishop takes, rook g8, and then rook fe1 check, making use of this open e file. That's why it was so important to recapture on d5 with the pawn. And Fine stepped his king to d8. So I will turn it over to you in this position. After Fischer's next move, Fine resigned. So Fischer managed to defeat his opponent in just 17 moves. What was the move that forced resignation? Pause your videos and try to find it. So congratulations if you saw the mating idea bishop f6. Okay. Of course, the problem with this move right now is that the queen is defending this key diagonal. So with Fischer's next move, he deflects the queen with queen g3. Great move. Notice that this queen is undefended. So Fine is forced to either move the queen, i.e. exchange on g3, but this is just going to allow this bishop f6 checkmate idea. And of course, queen e7 doesn't offer any resistance because Fischer would just be up an entire queen and would be able to still checkmate his opponent very efficiently with the dark square bishop. Notice this dark square bishop is really out of play over on a5. So let's put the last move on the board. Before we sign off, though, I do want to point out that after rook fe1, grabbing this rook on e1 with the bishop doesn't really change matters much because Fischer's other rook would capture. And he has several winning moves here, but the game continuation queen g3 would also work just fine. So, wow, what a game by Fischer. I really like to show this game to my students because it really shows the importance of controlling the center, rapidly developing your pieces, and castling your king. Those are the three most important opening principles you should abide by. Meanwhile, Fine ignored all of these. Okay, he got way too materialistic, gave away the center, fell behind in development, and never managed to secure his king. So it's not surprising that he lost in just 17 moves. Well, I hope you enjoyed this Blitz game by Bobby. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button and join Team MVP. You're not going to want to miss my next installment, which will be game number 45. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Have a great rest of your day.